Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be taking a deeper look, possibly a full review of the core mechanics of Survive This, Dark Places and Demogorgons, and then a quick look at one of its supplements and its setting booklet. But before I go into that, it's my first video of 2020, so Happy New Year to everyone. I've been a little bit delayed in getting this first video done. Was a little bit under the weather, over the weekend and, really into yesterday. So today's the first day that I kind of feel well enough to put a video out without coughing and, whatever else junk was going on. But also, with the new year comes Kappa. And so I just wanted to mention very quickly that my channel is really geared towards a 13 plus viewership, so age 13 and above viewership. None of my videos are specifically designed for children. None of the content that I cover is for children under the age of 13. And even though it is still family friendly, and I tend not to get into things that are controversial or use vulgar language or anything, but my uploads are automatically uploaded as being for ages 13 and above, and I will be adding hashtags to the descriptions that cover that as well. So that being said, let me now jump right into Dark Places and Demogorgons. So there's several books for this, but the primary is the core rule book here. And I'll be digging into this and going over character creation and some other elements of the game itself. A couple months ago, I picked up the Cryptid Manual. This was the Kickstarter that followed the main Kickstarter, which I actually missed that one. So this here is basically an additional monster manual. There's already monsters in the core rulebook. And then recently, part of my Christmas haul, I picked up Dark Places and Demogorgons Jefferson Town setting guide. So this is the setting. So now I have what I consider to be really the core 3 books of this game system. Now, I'm going to mention Bloat Games, Survive This Vigilante City for a very particular reason. When I get to character generation, I'll go more into depth. But even though these are not meant to be the same system, the game mechanics allow you to go from one to the other without very much modification. And so that's what I'm going to go over when I get to that point. So let me switch views once again. And this is a character sheet. This is a character sheet that I picked up on drive-thru. It was 50 cents. It's just not crossing my mind right now who the person was that created this. But if you go to drive-thru through the link that's in my video description, and you just type in under search, Bloat Games, this will come up along with all the products that I'm going to be showing you as well. So, but let me just shift this over, and let's take a look at the book here. So I'm going to mess around a little bit with the view just to make sure everything is kind of visible, and we shall see. So there's an introduction, and once again I will go into here. So Eric Bloat and Josh Palmer. And Josh Palmer actually has a Kickstarter that's currently running. I'll try, if I remember, I'll put the link for that in there as well. The Blackest of Space or something like that. I will put the link up. I apologize for that. That's something that I have to back myself right now. So we go through, and here's all the list of the Kickstarters. So this is really, in the 1980s, Stranger Things happened everywhere, and so it's set in Kentucky. Jefferson town is just outside of Louisville, and it goes through, and it's really just establishing what small town Kentucky 1980s kind of look like. So getting that kind of feel. And so if you're, kind of a grognard like myself, who was a young teenager in the early 1980s, this is kind of what gaming was like when we played, and many of these things, whether it be in Kentucky or Long Island, New York, where I grew up, all of this stuff is really, things that we can relate to. People my generation can relate to. So he goes through the basics. What is a GM? What is a player? What are the dice references? So here's the basic character sheet. And it is very, it's very straightforward and utilitarian. However, when you print it, I found that it just comes out much darker than I was, hoping for. This is a little bit cleaner. And so that's why I searched around and I, found this one and I transferred over to this one. But anyway, so the hallmark of an OSR game is the 6 basic attributes, and using using 3d6 in order to calculate them out. So you have strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. There's a separate survival here, which is unique to this game system, at least, from what I've seen. It's unique to Survive This and these series of Survive This games. So this represents the player's in-game ability to re-roll a failed attempt on a dice roll. It costs 1 survival point per re-roll, and characters can generate these survival points, at 1 point per gaming session. And so they're told to spend them wisely. You get a preset number of survival points. There's hit points, which is also another hallmark of an OSR game. However, in this system here, hit points, you roll 2d6 plus your constitution bonus. If that roll is less than a 5, you can adjust the character's starting hit points to 5. So basically, you're rolling 2d6, you're adding and that is your first level, that's your first level starting hit points. So has nothing to do with character classes or anything like that, and I'll get a little bit to those later on. Mending wounds, that if you're trying to mend another character's wounds, you can restore up to 1d4 hit points. Saving throws, these are also a little bit different than in other systems. So you roll for your saving throws are for courage, critical injuries, death, mental, and poison. And what you do is you roll 4d4 plus your character's constitution bonus, and that becomes the set value of your saving throw for that for those particular saving rolls. Now, as your character gains levels, you add 2 points that you can spread out amongst the 5 saving rolls. The highest point score that you can have as a saving throw is an 18. And so when you check all of these things, you're going to roll a d20, and basically you have to roll below whatever your saving throw is. And they go through and explain each of them. Now, death. I want to focus a little bit on death here. And let's see if I can bring this down to bring this a little bit more into view. Actually, I brought it a lot into view. So death saves are when a character sustains damage that takes them to below 1. So once you go to below 1, you're at 0. And basically, you can remain at that 0. You're not going to start to bleed out unless you've rolled something or you've taken additional damage. So you will lay there at 0 unless the battle is lost on your side. If the battle is lost on your side, your character, they are lost forever. But even when you're taken out of action, what you're going to do is you're going to roll your out of action 1 to 6 A 1 is you're KO, knocked out. 2 is you have a concussion, you're disadvantaged on all tests for the next hour. 3, you have cracked bones. Strength, dexterity, and constitution are temporarily reduced by -2 for the next day. 4, you're crippled. Your strength or dexterity is permanently reduced by 2. Disfigured, charisma reduced by 4 permanently. And on a roll of a 6, you are dead. So the average that's going to happen really on a d6 is you're going to roll between cracked bones and crippled, on either of those two instances. So if you are brought to 0, you could have some serious impairment, even if you do survive the combat. So that's a pretty cool mechanic. I like that it does have a consequence to it. So here's a random backgrounds that you roll when you're creating a character. I'll shift this over here. All right, so you roll a d100 and determine your character's random background. Choosing classes. So there's classes and then there's the subclasses. Actually, we'll raise this up a little bit. Hold on a second here. Sorry. I'm trying to find that exact sweet spot for you seeing everything that I'm putting up here. And let's see, here we go. It's kind of hard to do. Here we go. So choosing your class. So you choose your class if you've met those prerequisites, and I'll go to one of them and show you that. You have the brain. So the brain subclasses are the kid scientist, the nerd, and the geek. The athlete is the jock, the extreme athlete, and the karate kid. The outsider is the breakdancer, the goth, and the metalhead. Popular is the preppy, the princess, and teen heartthrob. And the rebel is the bully, the hood, and the punk rocker. So I'm going to go to Karate Kid and show you that really quick. And the reason why, and that will bring me to the reason why I had that other book. So the Karate Kid. Bruce Lee rules. Why does everyone not love and emulate Bruce Lee? People are dumb. Prerequisites are a 9 and an 8, a 9 in dexterity, an 8 in constitution. Level 1, your beginning skills. You have basic athletes, a language, any Asian, and martial arts. You gain a +1 to dexterity, a -1 to charisma. People think you are weird. And you have a +1 to armor class. And then they go through the level advancements. Starting equipment, you start with various pieces of equipment. You're the best around. Nothing's going to ever keep you down. You're the Best by Joe Esposito. Now, the reason why I'm going to do create a character that's a Karate Kid character is because in Vigilante City, and I will switch views here. In Vigilante City, I had backed this as a Kickstarter, and I backed it at a level that I could include my my own character into it. And so I submitted a character to Eric Bloat, and he and his team actually did some adjusting to what I had conceptualized, and really came up with a phenomenal idea. And so here is my character on page 125, and as you can see, his name is Micro Ninja, and Micro Ninja is a lawful aligned martial artist. In this book here, he starts off at level 3. And the reason why he's called Micro Ninja is because he had been cursed when he had made a trip to Japan. He had accidentally bumped into this elderly woman, and she took great umbrage to his clumsiness. He was only about 16 or 17 years old at the time. And, unbeknownst to him, she was what's called an Oba, which is like a mythological witch. And she cast a a curse on him, and that curse caused him to dramatically diminish in size over the first night, and then, and this is the part that Eric had introduced. With each level gained, he loses another 3 inches in height, but he also gains additional strength and dexterity because of that as well. So at the time that he's a level 3 superhero here, he's only 3'10", only 3'10" tall. He weighs about 68 pounds. And so with each subsequent level, he'll get smaller and smaller. And to demonstrate the flexibility between these two systems, because they're really using the Survive This core system, is that I kind of deconstructed my superhero character to bring him back into this game and this game setting. And so it was really quite simple to just strip away the superpowers, take away those levels, and then add the height and the weight and, reduce the attributes to then create the character for Dark Places and Demogorgons. So when I do play this character, he'll be the 16-year-old karate kid here, and then as he approaches that age, 17, 18 or so, when he does make that trip to Japan and runs into that encounter, that is when he will transition and become a first level superhero for Survive This Vigilante City. So moving on from there, I'm going to go back and let me close this and let's go back to this screen here. So my new acquisition is Dark Places and Demogorgons Jefferson Town Setting Guide. So this here setting guide same quality of artwork as in the other books. Here there's a timeline. So there's a timeline for Jefferson Town. And what I really liked about this is that there's like a little dictionary, a colloquial dictionary for either 1980s slang and possibly in particularly for 1980s slang in Kentucky at the time. And I'm assuming that's the case. And so it is a setting guide. So it gives you various places, various individuals, and what there seems to be in each of the sections is, so a solitary frogman has been spotted at the closed pool after midnight. It looks like it's hiding something or perhaps looking for something there. Page 144 of the core rulebook. So what Eric does here is that he'll give you a location and then these little adventure hooks in which you can decide to use them or not use them, combine them, swap them out from one area to another. And the entire book is just chock full of, these various locations and later on individuals that you see. So here we have the Dragon Strike Dojo. So I am going to take my character, and obviously my character is going to look to be somehow starting out and associated with this location here. Felton's Park, the hospital area. And like I said, it really is, there's some very nice maps on the inside that kind of show you where everything is laid out, almost by neighborhood by neighborhood. And the really cool thing is that there isn't overall like an overarching theme. You have the ability to, look and see like what pieces you're going to take, and you can create an overarching theme that kind of affects the entire town, or you can just leave it as these like little individual things that, keep on propping up. And the Fern Creek Asylum, Ghostlight Road. I'm just flipping through, and here's the South Central Jefferson town. And then once your player group actually kind of exhausts most of this small town here, and you could place this small town anywhere, just change the colloquial and maybe change some of these other places. Maybe you want to create your own hometown or recreate your own hometown, and look at some of the history there, and then just use this as a guide of how to create your own setting guide, and use the basic framework here, to just give you that idea of how to do it, how to put it together. Artwork is really, really good here. So places of note. They have some charts and graphs in here. I'll flip through and get, it's a substantial sized supplement. I mean, I'm already up to, page 109. Let's see where it ends. Excuse me. 134 pages. So 134 page supplement, and then the map of the entire town. Oh, I got it upside down for you. The map of the entire town, right here on the back. And so it did have each of these main areas all detailed inside the book. So you can see I already started to fill out the character sheet for my character, Ren Hattori. And English Japanese, he has a 14 strength, so that's diminished by 3 points from where he would be as a superhero of 3rd level. His intelligence was 10, that remained the same. Wisdom 11, 16 dexterity, so that will go up to a 19. Superheroes can go beyond the 18 cap that is in Dark Places and Demogorgons. His constitution of 14. Remained the same. His charisma is 9, so that is up by 1 because no, I'm sorry, that reflects so it's 9. It's going to remain there, and then his survival is 15 for purposes of this here. That included the +1 for his Constitution bonus, and I still have to finish filling out the rest of this. So once again, if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at Dark Places and Demogorgons, I highly recommend it. I mean, I am a huge fan, and you've seen many, many of my videos. I'm a huge fan of everything that everything that Eric Bloat has put out. I wish he'd slow down a little bit because, it's kind of hard to keep up. He's been really producing and churning out great stuff and very quickly. So, but, highly recommend it. You'll have a great time with it. Very easy system to use. A lot of fun to play it. And it's actually very, very easy to make adventures using this as well, especially with the additions of the setting booklet. And he has many, many other supplements to Dark Places and Demogorgons that you can get on Drive-Thru RPG. So I recommend that you go there and take a look at some of that stuff, and grab a hold of that character sheet. It was only 50 cents. So grab a hold of the character sheet if you don't feel like making one of your own or printing the one that's just off of the PDF of the core book. So once again, Happy New Year. Thanks for coming to the to the channel. If this is your first time here and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video and you give it a thumbs down, please leave a comment as to what it was that you didn't like. Because I try to be responsive, and I don't mind if you have a constructive criticism. But just leaving a thumbs down and not mentioning why is kind of lame. And so it's like, at least go out there and tell me what it is that you'd like to see better. And listen, I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. Remember to share the video if you really liked it and you want to show it off to your friends. And you're not just sharing it to show off my video channel here, but you're sharing it to show off the game products that the channel is featuring. And so if you see something here that you think your friends might like to see, please share the video so they have an opportunity to take a look at it and decide for themselves. But you'll have a great week coming up. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I should probably get some gaming done by this weekend. I'm expecting some new things to come in the mail over the next couple of days, and you'll have a great time. Thanks for stopping by.